Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. Today I have a very fun card for you. In one of the last videos that I did a swaps video, and I had a couple of requests to show how to make a couple of cards. The first one was the arrow card, which I did a video on, I think it was last week. And so the other card that people asked about was the never-ending card. And so I have a never-ending card. Now, the woman on my, she's a downline to somebody that's right under me, and Tony Deaton is her name, and she goes by Come Craft With Me, Tony D. She did a 6x6 never-ending card, and so I thought I would show how to make one that is the regular A2 size. So this card is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, the standard size, so it will fit in the regular envelopes. And I did it using the elegant designer series paper and a bunch of stamps, because this has so many surfaces you need quite a few sentiments on it, and I just grabbed from wherever I could. The principal point of this video is to show you how to make the card. You can decorate it any way you want. So let's just get started. Here is my card, and I did it using this beautiful designer series paper called part of the Elegantly Said suite, and it's got lots of beautiful paper in it. So I used this paper that had that copper in it, and I used this paper that had the copper in it. And I'll put the correct name of the designer series paper. Oh, there it is. It's Simply Elegant Specialty Designer Series paper. And so this is a card that works this way. It looks terribly complicated, and it is really not. It's very simple. So the card is presented this way, and then it opens this way. And in here I have best wishes and a little place for you to put your own sentiment. And then it opens this way, and I put a for you sentiment in here, and then it opens up this way and says let's celebrate. And then when you open it the last time, it brings you back to the beginning of the card. So this is what we're going to make. And what you need in order to make this card is 2 pieces for your base. I used Basic Black because the designer series paper went with it. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this is a 1/4 sheet of an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet. So you can really get 2 cards out of one 8 1/2 by 11 sheet. Then you need a fairly decent sized piece of copper, and then your designer series paper in a couple of different patterns. And then I've got the dimensions. I've got my pieces cut for you. And in this case, because this is a little fiddly and might take a while, it's not hard. It's just that there's a lot of pieces to cut for the decoration. And so what I have here is I've already done my sentiments, and I did them on copper. This is the double oval punch. This is a 1-inch punch. You have dies or punches that might cut 1 inch, and it has to be fairly small, and I'll show you why. I did Let's Celebrate and cut that out, and then I did Happy Birthday. I did them all on copper with black embossing powder. So what I'm referring to on this is I'm going to show you how to score and cut these pieces, and then I'm referring to this as page 1. So this is the front of the card, or page 1. Then this one is page 2, and this one is page 3, page 4, and then back to page 1. And if we think about it that way, it helps sort out the pieces that are here. And I have quite a few notes to myself to the side here about cutting and decorating and all of that stuff. So we are going to need the trimmer. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we're going to take this piece, which is piece number 1, and we're going to score that at 1 1/16 here, and the 1/16 mark is one of these little tick marks down here. So each one of these little tick marks is a 1/16. So we're going to go 1 tick mark over 1 inch, and we're going to put a score line in there. I think you can see that. So 1 1/16, and we're going to put a score line there. And then we're going to take that piece of paper and flip it around and do exactly that same thing. So 1 1/16. And it's pretty important to get these measurements pretty accurate. All right, now on this one, we're going to take this piece. This is 5.5 inches long, and so we want to cut this in half, and that would put our cut at 2 3/4. So I'm going to set this at the 2 3/4 mark, and we're going to cut this piece. And this is the bottom of our card assembly. So we'll just set that here. All right, now this piece we are going to cut on the landscape side here, and we are going to score that at 1 3/8. So 1 3/8 is right here, and we're going to put a score mark on that card there. Then we're going to take this piece and flip it around, and we're going to do exactly that same thing on the 3/8 inch mark. Let me make sure I've got that set. 1 2 3 right there, and we're going to put a score line. Now we're going to take this piece and turn it this way back to landscape, and this piece is 4 1/4, and we want to cut that in half. So that is going to be 2 1/8. So setting that up at 2 1/8, I'm going to cut that, and there is that piece. And honestly, that is it. That is all of the cutting and scoring that you need to do. These 4 pieces of paper, and I'm going to set them up the way they're going to kind of go together, is all that it takes to make this never-ending card. You would think it would take tons of pieces, but it really doesn't. Now then, I'm putting these on the side of this, because the closer we get this to being back to sort of the half page that it started out, the better off we are, because we want this to line up exactly. We need very strong tape, very strong adhesive. Because of the nature of this and the way it opens, people are going to fiddle with this and fiddle with it and fiddle with it. So we want to make sure that we get this down and that it is glued well. So we're going to put adhesive in, if this were still connected, in these 4 corners, top and bottom. And on these pieces, we are going to just barely fold those score lines there, just so that we have a point of reference, because we don't want our tape to go past the score line on this side. So I'm going to take my tear tape, and I'm going to cut off little pieces about an inch, and I'm going to put one piece right up at the top on this piece here, and I'm actually going to put 3 pieces of tear tape, and then I'm going to line this one up, and I know I don't want that tape to go any further down than that, and in fact that's a little close. So then I'm going to take my 3rd piece of tear tape and I'm going to put that in the middle. Now that is what we're going to do to this corner, and then this corner and this corner. Now I will speed up the video so it's not so tedious to watch, but these are about 1-inch strips of the tear tape. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is burnish this tape down, and we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner here, and I'm going to remove the release paper on these 3 pieces of tear tape, and we're going to start to stick our card together. So there we go. Just going to peel these little guys off of there. And if anything were to crop over and kind of hit that score line, you can just use your take-a-pick tool, or if you have one of these old pokey tools, you can just move that tape back a hair so that it doesn't interfere with any of the folding of the cards. Okay, now this part is fairly important. We are going to take these 2 pieces together, and I'm going to set them up so that they're perfectly matched in this corner. So that will be straight across the top here and straight down the side. And I'm not going to push those into place until I've got that right where I want it. And there we go. Very good. All right. Now then, what we're going to do is release the paper on this bottom piece. And from here on out, that first corner is fairly critical. And after that, it's pretty easy. And by the way, I'm happy to do this. Anytime you have a curiosity about how something is made, be sure and let me know, because I am happy to show you how to make anything you're curious about. And chances are, if you have a curiosity about it, so do others. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to lift this up, and I'm going to put this piece so that it butts right against that upper piece, and the margin matches, the ends match, and I'm going to set this one down and put it in place. All right, we're almost done. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper on these last pieces, and then I'll show you about putting this piece in place. Okay, all of my pieces of tape are well within the edges of this card, and none of them encroach the score line, so I'm in really good shape there. Now what I'm going to do is take this piece of paper and butt it up against this piece and get it so that it matches the card from the back at the top and the bottom, and put that into place. And you now have built the mechanism for the never-ending card. So I told you it wasn't hard. It's just that simple. And the way it works is this is going to open like this, and we have those score lines in there. And what we're going to do is just finger press those score lines. Oh, it looks like I do have a little piece of tape that's trying to escape on this side, so I'm going to tuck that in. There we go. All right, now I can't see it. And we're just going to finger press those. And then the next way this would fold is this way and this way. And we're going to finger press those in place. This and then this, and we're back to our original place. Now, what I'm going to do is really burnish those score lines now that they've been taken in there, and get rid of any tape edges that show and burnish this down. Okay, now I'm going to fold these back and burnish these edges here. And it doesn't hurt on these when you're getting ready to put this together to kind of fold them both forward and backwards, because it makes it a little easier to open and close. But there we go. So there is our last piece here. Burnish those down. And generally speaking, let me just go ahead and push that this way. And then I think we're this way. Yes, and we're back to where we started. So in the earlier discussion, I call this page 1, and that is the front of the card. So what I have here, all the pieces and all of the measurements for the card. Okay, so for page 1, or the front of your card, you need 2 pieces that are cut 2 5/8 inches by 2 inches. And you need 2 of them. And these 2 pieces are going to go in place right here. And because I'm using black, I'm going to use my dot runner just there in case there's some reason I have to pick these up and move them. And I didn't put a mat on this, although you could, and make the piece that sits inside just a tiny bit smaller. But I left only a 1/16 of an inch around the edges of this, so you could certainly put a mat around it, and then you would just need to move this piece in by an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/4 of an inch, whatever you wanted to do for the decoration. In this case, I'm not matting these pieces. That uses a lot of cardstock, and I'm not sure it's necessary, particularly with this paper. So I'm going to put that in place right there. And this was, again, 2 inches by 2 5/8. And generally speaking, those pieces that are larger are almost all 2 by 2 5/8. And ones that are on the slim outer line are just about the same size as well. So I'll tell you as we go here. So the next piece I need is these 4 pieces that I'm using to put at the top and bottom of this on this card. And these pieces are 2 inches, so 2 inches by 1 1/4 inches, and they're going to go right on the top and bottom on both sides of the card. And you just want to keep everything clear of the score lines. And in the black, not a good choice because it isn't real easy to see. But we're going to put these 4 pieces down, and it's already turning out to be quite pretty. And I just love this paper. It's so much fun. And there's a little bit of stamping to do on this, but there's more getting the card folded and putting the paper pieces in place than there is stamping on this particular design. And once you have everything cut, the assembly of this is not difficult. It just takes a little bit of time. So there we go. That is our page 1 done. And by the time we're done, we'll put this little happy birthday on dimensionals and put that in place. Right now, we're going to go to our page 2. And on our page 2, we have, on this page 2, we are only going to put pieces on the center, right down here in the core. So we have one piece of the other designer series paper here, cut 2 inches by 2 5/8 again. So I'm going to put some snail on that and put that into place. 2 inches by 2 5/8. You can start to see the repeating pattern here. Two inches by 2 5/8. And then the only piece of paper I didn't tell you about was a piece of basic white here, 2 and 2 5/8. So you have not a very big space, but a little space to write your own personal sentiment on this card. It's so much fun that there's not a lot of other space to do this. And so just right in there. And that is basically page 2 of this design. Now then, when we fold these back, we're faced with this page, which I'm calling page 3. And page 3 has these pieces on it. 2 pieces, in this case, of the copper that are, guess what, 2 and 2 5/8. 2 by 2 5/8. Can't spit it out here. Okay, so we're going to put our decoration on there, and again on this other side. And this is going to, by the way it is put together, decorate the previous page. And I'm going to go backwards one, because see what happens? This and your sentiment, and then these pieces peek out of the corner. So when we get to this piece, we are going to want to put something on these pieces here. And I have 4 pieces of this, more of the designer series paper that was on the front. And this one, these are cut 7/8 of an inch by 1 1/4 inches. And you need to cut 4. And these pieces will just fit right on here, and we'll put those in place. I think this will be great fun for my grandson when he's just a little bit older, and I can put all different kinds of animals on the individual pages, and he can mess with it and turn it around and around and around. I think he'll get a bang out of that. Okay. There we go. So that now completes the decorations for page 3. Now we're going to open this one last time, and there's our page 4. And on this one, I have 2 pieces that are cut 2 inches by 2 5/8 that are going to go on this central area. And then I have 4 pieces that are 7/8 of an inch by 2 5/8 that are going to go down the side. So you see the repeating measurements. Okay, so there is our last piece put in place. And then there we go back to our page 1, and we've got all of our decorating done all the way through our card. So back to our page 1. Now, what I did was I took Happy Birthday, and I took Happy Birthday from the Pansy Punch because I thought this one was particularly nice, and I put it up on dimensionals. So there was room for one big dimensional, and I did just cut out the words and then cut a little strip here so I could put that in place here and have my Happy Birthday. Oops, forgot to peel this piece off. There we go. All right, so there's my Happy Birthday, and that tells us what kind of a card it is. The next sentiment I put on this page, and I used this Best Wishes from Artistically Inked. And there's so many pages here, you kind of need to do something on them. So on these, I also put this up on dimensionals, and it doesn't seem to impede the movement of the card if these things are up on dimensionals. So I went ahead and did that. And on this one, since this one was at an angle, I went ahead and put this one at an angle here, Best Wishes. And then on this one, this is the tricky one right here. So I did this, and I did For You, and I did it with basically a 1-inch punch. And the reason I did that is when you open this one, because this piece is visible to this particular fold, this piece has to be small enough to fit in behind here, or it will show outside of that piece. And there you can see I've got it lined up just right. So I'm going to add, on this one, I'm just going to go ahead and put Snail, and I'm going to lay this one down flat. And I'm going to encroach just a bit on the edge of the card here. And put that one down so that it is just along the edge of the card, and that way it will not be visible from the previous page. And so when you open this, it then says For You, and then the last page I put this one from Celebrate Sunflowers, and it says Let's Celebrate You, but that was way too long to put on here, so I just did the Let's Celebrate and decided to put it here. And I think I'm going to just put some snail on the back of that one and put that one down again at an angle. Everything's at an angle, so we don't have to worry about straight. And you just want to avoid any of the fold lines. So there we go. That is our card. And this one would open one more time and take us back to the front. Now, ordinarily, you know me, I would put some additional bling on, and I suppose I can if I use some of these yellow sequins from the Artistry Blooms adhesive back sequins, and put a couple of those. I don't know how I feel about that. Nope, I don't like them. That doesn't work. Let's see if something else does. I've got Genial Gems, and I've got these yellow from the In Color pieces. Let me see. Of course, that's kind of gold, isn't it? Let's see what one of these looks like. If I put that in there. Again, I don't like it. I think I'm convincing myself it doesn't need any extra bling. It's got all of this beautiful copper. Nope, I think I'm going to leave it be. All right, so that is it. That is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. And I would love to have more people on my team. And if you're spending enough, you may want to just do it just for the discounts. If you're spending enough on Stampin' Up! Products. I'm going to put this back here. And one of the things I did think about with this card is that one could put a belly band on this to kind of hold it closed. But part of the fun of it is picking it up and having it start to open. So I'm leaving mine that way. Let's see. This is still June, and so my prize draw for the month of June is a bundle from the Art Gallery bundle, a stamp set and the dies. And all you have to do to put yourself in the drawing is to place an order of any size on my store, lbedinger.stampinup.net. You can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. By the way, my blog still has up on the first page my team's blog hop this month, where they put things together using the hand penned suite, and they did just a beautiful job. You'll get inspired with a lot of beautiful cards by going through some of their blogs. I think there was 8 of us that participated this month. And let's see what else. Oh, please subscribe if you're not a subscriber on my channel. It does help me, and I would appreciate it. Let's see. I think that's it for me. I will be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.